what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about the newest champion added to Marvel Contest of Champions, the Leader. Now, I want to preface this video by saying all of the damage you see in the short fight rotation showcase, it will actually be higher on the live servers, because something I didn't realize when I first started testing the Leader is that as an offensive character, the heal reversal from his Spectre debuffs and his Wither debuffs applies to the defender. So when you're fighting Leader, your willpower gets shut off if it drops below 0. But when you're using Leader, if the opponent has willpower, which 99 out of 100 times they do, you're going to be stopping their healing and reversing it. And if you use his special one, you're going to reverse it even further. So just to preface, I want you to understand that all of the damage you're going to see is without the additional heal reversal that he will have access to constantly. I do a couple of duels towards the end of the video, or the end of the showcase, that shows off what it would look like, what it could look like, but until we have him on the live server, we won't know what the numbers actually look like in War and Battlegrounds. But just a preface before we get into the nitty-gritty of his rotation and stuff like that, the damage will be higher on the live server because of the heal reversal of willpower. So Leader has surprisingly more health than I thought he would. For kind of a small guy, but big head, he's got over 72,000 health as an Ascended 6-star rank 5, which I appreciate because I'm actually going to be picking up the Leader, taking him to rank 5 and ascending him. I like him that much. Let's talk about his kit a little bit. Enigmatic Machinations of the Mind is his signature ability. I feel that he doesn't rely on the Sig, but once you get used to using him with an awakened ability, you don't want to go back to using him without it. The Green Door is the big part of his rotation. You've probably seen it when you fought him in the event quest. It's that rectangular green icon in the middle of the screen. It's the core to his loop, to his utility, to his damage, to his defensive potential, the whole 9 yards. So I think his dupe is really nice, and you want him at a high sig, but he doesn't necessarily need high sig. Just having the awakened ability I think is going to be very important. So if you get lucky and get a 7-star Leader maybe twice, have him at sig 20, you're going to want to invest in him over the 6-star in my opinion. So to go over the kit so the signature ability makes sense, ideally with Leader, you want to keep the opponent in the middle of the screen as often as you can, and you want to be landing light intercepts. Ideally, intercept with a light combo, and then backdraft light. The more light attack intercepts you land, especially with the Sig, the higher you stack your personal debuffs. You can stack up to 10 of each of a Spectre and a Wither of 20% potency, and you're going to see that you want these debuffs as high as you possibly can have them because they increase his damage once the Green Door opens. So for every debuff on the opponent, the Green Door generates gamma radiation faster, and then once the Green Door opens, the Leader gains a small Fury, but it stacks with every non-damaging debuff on the opponent. And don't worry, if some of them fall off, your Furies don't fall off. All they do is go up the more debuffs you have. So if you start with 20, but then 2 of your debuffs fall off, but then you gain 3 more, your number is going to go from 23 from 20, not 20 to 18. So the debuffs, they don't dictate how many Furies you currently have, it's how many you could have. So that's a nice thing about Leader, is he doesn't rely on having max debuffs for max damage. You just want to stack as many as you can, and you don't have to worry about them falling off and your damage going down once the Green Doors open. So when they're on top of the Green Door, when the opponent is on top of the Green Door, right here, they take a burst of instant degen damage. And this is part of his defensive kit, because it's a little difficult to manage your spacing against Leader to stay off of the Green Door and avoid this degen damage. Now, of course, it's not the highest damage in the world, and if you're using a character that can manage debuffs, or maybe it doesn't have their willpower reduced by debuffs like a Kingpin, then you can get around it a little bit. But one thing about Leader against skill champions is his debuffs are severe debuffs, so they can't be purified or cleansed. Now, I don't know if Tenacity is a purify. It might just be a removal, but for champions like Kingpin, for champions like Jabari Panther with Cleanse, Baron Zemo, you're not going to be able to remove Leader's debuffs because they are severe debuffs. I think this is a very cool addition. I don't think it's too overpowered, especially given the debuffs that they are applied to, Spectre and Wither. None of those are damage over time debuffs, they are just utility debuffs. So I like that. I think that's a great addition to the game, severe debuffs. As long as we don't see them everywhere and they're spread out into a fair amount of characters, not too many, but affecting that class relationship a little bit is something that 2024 characters have been doing, and Leader is no exception. So that's enough about his abilities. You kind of understand. Build up debuffs, be on top of the green door, land light intercepts, deal some big damage. One more thing before we go is his special 3 deals a huge degen. And when the green doors open, you want to throw this special 3 ideally. You don't want to throw it before the green door. You inflict a degen vulnerability, 10%. It's not great, but you know, it stacks up in longer fights. And you gain 10 Fury passive. So the special 3 is very nice. So let's get over to the gameplay here. I've got a couple of clips to show off. So this is the test map Cyclops, around 270,000 health for most of these test map characters. I'm showing off Leader's special 3 rotation in this fight, I believe. This is not class advantage, and there are no boosts and no synergies affecting the gameplay here at all. You're noticing a protection passive building up on Leader's side. That's another thing, part of his defensive kit. For each debuff on the opponent, there is a protection that Leader gains. It's 3% against skill champions, 4% against non-skill champions, and then on offense, it's 1% per debuff. So a little nice thing to have, nothing crazy, but it's definitely a nice piece of utility. So as you can see, I'm landing my triple light intercepts here, just doing light, light, light. That's how you gain one of each debuff. Your first light, or either champion's first light inflicts a Spectre, and then either champion's third light inflicts a Wither. So ideally, you want to be on top of the green door doing light, light, light. It doesn't have to be an intercept. All the intercept does is, with the Awaken ability, it applies a random copy of one of the 2 debuffs that is available for the fight. Went for the special 3 there on top of the green door. That was a 56-second fight, no damage taken. But again, the special 3 rotation, it's good, it's solid. But something you have to understand is the damage in that fight would be higher because you will be constantly reversing the opponent's willpower. And I think that's something people might miss when looking at Leader gameplay, especially because all of this is on the beta right now. You're going to miss that there's willpower constantly being reversed. So this is a Thor Jane Foster. I'm going for the special 2 loop here. This is actually slower than the special 3, and you'll see why in just a second here. I kind of come to a realization that Jane is not necessarily the best champion to use the special 2 against. Leader's special 2 inflicts a power dissolve if the opponent's power rate is at or below 0. So a power dissolve will deal damage proportionate to the power that's being drained or burned. Not drained or burned, but being reversed by, like, Wither. So that's great for Dragon Man, America Chavez, champions with Mystic Dispersion, any type of passive power gain. Even Adam Warlock would benefit from this. So as you can see, because we have over 5 Withers on Jane Foster, we inflict the power dissolve, but because there's no power to be burning, the power dissolve doesn't really do anything. So in matchups like this, I think it's better to go for the special 1. I think in general, it's better to go for the special 1 with Leader because you're reversing more of the opponent's willpower, and that's where a lot of your constant chip damage will be coming from, is reversing the opponent's willpower healing. On top of the instant degen, on top of the Spectre, on top of the Furies from your basic hits dealing decent damage. I think Leader is going to be a very solid character overall. He's got a lot of utility and decent enough damage to feel worth it in specific matchups. So I wanted to show off his utility here. Every hit of his special 1, aside from the final hit, I believe, inflicts a Wither. So if you need easy access to ability power rate reduction, go for the special 2, and you're having a good time here. This is a rank 1 5-star against a 7-star Mangog, and you can see that the willpower reduction is significant. Look at his health draining from just the Spectre debuffs alone from willpower. I wasn't hitting him. There was no instant degen either, and his health was just going down and down and down. So I feel that with Leader in most matchups, unless you need to go for the special 3 for some reason, you just want to be spamming your special 1, trying to keep the opponent on top of the green door as often as you can, and reversing their willpower at the same time as them taking some instant degen while being on top of the door. I really like Leader. I cannot wait to take him up. Rank 5 Ascended is my plan. Of course, if I get the 7-star, that'll throw a wrench into things, obviously, but I wouldn't be upset because I do really, really like Leader. I love his utility. He kind of reminds me of a combination of Anti-Venom and Spider-Man 2099 with different sources of damage output. Anti-Venom has a lot of heal reversal, Spider-Man 2099 has Wither, and then they kind of combine the two because there's Passive Fury, which Anti-Venom has, and then there's also Instant Burst Damage, which Spider-Man has. So he's super cool. I really like him a lot. Another great thing about Leader is you just saw a rewind there. America Chavez gained a dimension, right, from throwing a heavy attack. But where is it? Oh, super quick. It just passed by. So right here, America Chavez, I believe she's going to attempt a heavy attack here. Yeah, so I interrupt her heavy, and then because I apply Withers on my third light attack, I immediately remove her dimension. So he's a fantastic America Chavez counter. Again, this is a rank 1 unleveled 5-star versus a 7-star rank 1 America Chavez. What I should have been doing here is going for more special ones because I'm increasing the opponent's healing because of the vitality, and then in turn I'd be reversing more of their healing. So in hindsight, I should have gone for that. It would have made the fight a lot faster, but again, pretty new to Leader, still learning all the ins and outs of his kit. So we adjust as the live server gameplay will show. Once I have him, I'll have adjusted to what I should be doing. One last little showcase here. I don't think Leader is going to be the best Serpent counter, but he is relatively solid. The Spectre cancels out his healing at the end of the fight, and the Wither cuts his power gain down to 50% of what it could be. So, as long as you're staying mildly aggressive, again, the Awaken ability really helps here because when you land a light intercept, you apply one of your debuffs at random, and both of the debuffs are massively helpful. So, yeah. Unfortunately, no power to detonate or power dissolve here because Serpent against non-mystics can't have his power reversed past 50%, but it doesn't matter because look at Serpent's power. I'm going to show that again. When he gains his lifesteal or death immunity with the power, look at his power, right? It's still going up. It's about to trigger right now. So look at his power. It is so much less than what it typically is when you're fighting Serpent and he has that power. Even with the power gain, look how much more manageable it is. It's his utility cannot be understated. The Wither and the Spectre reversing the opponent's power gain and willpower on top of the vitality from his special one, increasing the health they would gain, but it's actually decreasing the health they do gain. He's so cool. I like him a lot. Please let me know your thoughts about Leader down in the comments below. Do you think he's going to be a character you want to add to your roster? If you do, where do you think you're going to be using him? I can definitely see myself using this guy in Battlegrounds as a dual threat for some of those annoying mystics and annoying power gain characters. And on defense, he will just be pretty annoying if you don't have a solid counter. You can't nuke him down because he has a lot of health. He has 280,000 health as a rank 5 Ascended character. So that's decent. And I can see him being great for Winter of Woe style content because of the vast amount of utility he has access to. I love him. I love him. And the special 3 degen for long fights. It's like 50,000 over 10 seconds, and that damage goes up because the degen vulnerability from the special 3 will increase it. So I love Leader. I cannot wait to get him on my main account, have some fun with him, take him up to rank 5 Ascended. Again, that's the plan. Could get the 7-star, you never know. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Leader. If I had to rank him from like F to S, I'd give him a solid A, maybe even an A+, just because he's such a strong utility character to where even though his damage isn't super great, it's good enough to justify the amount of utility he has, and it doesn't feel like he's a wet noodle. It doesn't feel like you're playing with like a pool noodle when you're using Leader. He's got the utility, and he's got a decent amount of damage to back it up. So I might even go as far as say A+ for Leader. I like him a lot. I like him more than Patriot. He is one of my favorite Science characters to be added to the game in a long time. So, in any case, thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this Leader introduction showcase. Be on the lookout. I'm probably going to upload a Leader Crystal opening in the next couple of days, trying to get the 7-star if I can. So, we'll see what happens there. But in any case, thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you have not already, and hit the bell for notifications if that's something that you like. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.